Welcome back to Jinwoo vs Goto Ryuji, The Ultimate Battle, Part 2. Previously, Jinwoo and Goto faced the awakening of the mysterious bridge, a powerful force born from the fusion of shadow and light. They battled against Umbra's remnants and its deadly vessels, struggled to maintain balance while confronting their own inner shadows and enduring fierce enemies reborn from the ancient core. With the Umbra Tower destroyed, new fragments of the bridge have scattered across the globe, awakening forces that challenge humanity's very existence. Now, as the world rebuilds from the ashes, Jinwoo and Goto must hunt these fragments to prevent another apocalypse and protect free will itself. The battle for true balance and freedom begins anew. Stay ready, because the next storm is just beginning to roll in. Neo Tokyo lay bruised beneath a gray sky. The bridge's light ring still hovered above the clouds, silent but watching. Its faint glow painted the sea and skyscrapers with an eerie silver burn that never faded, even in daylight. The city had survived, but it no longer slept. At the docks, Jinwoo tightened the torn sleeve of his jacket. The spiral mark on his wrist refused to disappear. Every pulse from it carried faint whispers he hadn't heard since the bridge swallowed him. Quiet words, half in another language, echoing faintly inside his thoughts. Behind him, Goto cleaned his sword with a strip of cloth, the blade now dull but unbroken. I counted 11 news drones today. You've become the city's newest legend. Jinwoo gave a short laugh. And you? I'm the ghost next to the legend. Easier that way. Wind whipped through the harbor, carrying the metallic scent of salt, rain, and smog. Above them, damaged drones hovered over collapsed highways, welding new plates into place. For a moment, it almost looked peaceful, until the lights on the shore flickered again. Goto's eyes narrowed. That's the fifth blackout today. It's not the grid, Jinwoo said quietly. It's the bridge. The energy's leaking through. His reflection in the dark water split in two, one side normal, the other distorted by violet sheen. Something deep inside him trembled. Goto wiped the rain from his face. You sure you're not seeing ghosts? I felt their pull again, Jinwoo said. The core isn't drifting anymore, it's searching. Searching for what? He didn't answer. The whisper inside his mind did. Completion. Far above the storm line, a black airship pierced the clouds, its hull plated with reflective armor. Inside, soldiers in hybrid suits moved with silent precision across gleaming corridors. At their center walked a woman, the same mechanical silhouette who had once fallen from Neo Tokyo's skyline. Ayaka. Her human eyes shone clear blue, the other burned crimson. Half of her face was bandaged, the rest glimmered with steel and carbon fiber. Status of Subject 13. She asked without emotion. A researcher replied quickly, tapping on a floating console. Alive. Location verified in Dock Sector A. The residual connection between him and the bridge remains stable. Good. Then the bridge remains open. She paused before a viewport showing the scarred outline of the city below. Open channels to the remnants of Umbra. We begin Phase 3 tonight. Orders, Commander. Rebuild the army, but no machines this time. The war will be fought by the beings they feared to wake. The officers exchanged nervous glances. You don't mean the failed vessels. Ayaka's mechanical iris dilated, reflecting the lightning outside. I do. At the harbor, Goto packed their few supplies inside a duffel. We can't stay here. Too many eyes. Where would you go? Jinwoo asked. West sectors first. The city border was evacuated, quiet, empty. We rest there before we track Umbra again. Jinwoo nodded slowly, though his gaze stayed fixed on the waves. Something's moving out there, he said. The sea was rippling unnaturally now, as though the tide breathed. From beneath the dark water, faint outlines began to surface, shadows shaped like human figures, bodies of light and smoke rising slowly toward the pier. Goto reached for his katana. Tell me those are hallucinations. Jinwoo took a step forward, his voice low. They followed me back from the bridge. The first figure reached the surface, its form half-transparent, its eyes identical to Jinwoo's when he used his power. It spoke in broken echoes. Vessel, incomplete, reboot. Goto swung once, his blade slicing clean through the apparition. It shattered, but reformed within seconds. They aren't real, Jinwoo said. Just manifestations. Manifestations that hit back, Goto growled, blocking another wraith that lunged for them. Jinwoo raised his hand and whispered, "Return." The shadows hesitated, and then dissolved, pulled back into the mark on his wrist. Silence returned. Goto exhaled. "Remind me never to go swimming here." Jinwoo remained still, watching the sea calm again. "They're getting stronger each time. Soon, I won't be able to call them back. Then we stay ahead of it," Goto said. "Find the people who know what Umbra left behind." Jinwoo nodded. "We start with the old districts, the labs beneath the river." Goto smirked. "Lead on, Shadow." That night, rain returned. They walked through the ruins of the lower wards, streets flooded with reflections of shattered neon. The city pulsed faintly under the tower's absent light, surrounded by uncertainty and silence. As they passed an old hollow screen, static flared, and a broadcast cut in without warning. "This bulletin is under emergency protocol," the voice said. "Reports confirm reactivation of lost Umbra networks. Citizens are advised to stay indoors." Repeat. "Stay indoors." The image flickered to static, then to Ayaka's face. "Good evening, Neo Tokyo," she said calmly. "This is Commander Ayaka, voice of the New Order. Umbra is not dead. It has merely evolved. The bridge is not your enemy, it is your salvation." Her words echoed through every street, every speaker that still functioned. Jinwoo stopped walking. His shadow warped at his feet. "She's alive," Goto muttered. Jinwoo's fists tightened. "And she's already starting a war." In the dim light between broken towers, Ayaka's broadcast continued. Her eyes seemed to look directly into the camera, as though through the screen at Jinwoo himself. "The era of separation ends. Those who accept the shadow will ascend," she said softly. "Those who resist, will fade." The transmission ended. Goto muttered, "Looks like we're on her invitation list." Jinwoo turned toward the glow of the rising storm. "Then let's RSVP." Thunder rolled again over the silent city. Rain hammered the rooftops as night deepened. The streets shimmered with the blurred glow of red lights. Jinwoo and Goto moved quietly through narrow corridors beneath the heart of Neo Tokyo, lit only by the faint flicker of old wiring that still carried life. The lower sectors had always been forgotten, a maze of abandoned research stations, transport tunnels, and underground markets swallowed by time. This was the true skeleton of the city. And somewhere beneath it, Ayaka's new army was being built. Umbra's ghosts like their hiding places damp, Goto muttered, wiping a drop from his brow. Jinwoo crouched beside a rusted terminal. "Damp keeps scanners out." He placed his hand against the screen, letting a small current of shadow flow through the circuits. Old files burned to life, projecting fragments of Umbra's archive, names, experiments, failed subject records, all code locked until now. Goto leaned close. "You can read all that." "Not all," Jinwoo said. "But enough." On the screen, a name repeated across every log entry, Project Revenant. "Revenant," Goto murmured. "Now that sounds innocent." Jinwoo scrolled through line after line of damaged data. The fragments painted an image neither of them wanted to see. Vessels reconstructed using samples of the previous subjects, fragments of his own genetic code mixed with machine grafts. Goto's tone turned low. "She's recreating the experiment. With improvements," Jinwoo said grimly. "She's building soldiers that can exist in both worlds." He switched off the terminal. "We find this lab before she starts production." "How far?" "Below the river," Jinwoo replied. "Under the eastern flood barriers." Goto groaned quietly. "Figures. Always down, never up." As they crossed a maintenance bridge, the floor trembled. Goto's hand went to his sword instantly. Movement. Left corridor. Jinwoo's shadow stretched across the wall, forming a silent eye. Through the darkness, he saw outlines, 4 figures moving low and fast, their shapes unstable. They found us, Jinwoo said softly. Goto grinned. Finally. The first creature emerged into the dim light, humanoid in shape but half-fused with metallic tendrils that pulsed faint blue. Its eyes were hollow ports, its skin gray but veined with circuitry. Behind it, 3 more followed. Goto stepped forward, dropping into stance. You take left, I'll cut right. Jinwoo shook his head. No. These were human once. The words barely left his mouth before the first creature screeched and charged. Goto moved like lightning, parrying the strike with a clean swing. The impact sent tremors up his arm. Sparks flew as blade met reinforced bone. He pushed forward, slicing downward. The creature collapsed into shadow dust that evaporated instantly. The others attacked together, one climbing the wall, another darting low toward Jinwoo. He sidestepped and let his shadow erupt outward, forming a barrier of shifting smoke. The first creature slammed into it and dissolved. The second pushed through, striking Jinwoo across the shoulder. Pain burned white, sharp and real. Guess they bleed too, Goto said, cleaving through the last one. Jinwoo pressed a hand to his wound. Dark light flickered under the skin but faded quickly. They're not part of Umbra's old army. These things react to my energy. Maybe they're drawn to you, Goto said. Like moths. Jinwoo looked at the fading dust. Or like pieces of something that's missing. Hours later, they reached the lowest section of the tunnels. The temperature dropped sharply. The air carried that sterile tang only laboratories possess, cold, precise, metallic. A rusted sign above an old blast door read, Umbra Substation 09. Goto ran a finger along the dust-coated frame. I'm thinking you're about to open it. Jinwoo touched the panel, letting the shadows seep through its surface. The ancient mechanisms groaned, gears unlocking after years of silence. The door opened into darkness that stretched beyond their sight. The space smelled of chemicals and time. Rows of glass pods lined the walls, fogged until Jinwoo brushed his palm across one. Inside, a body floated, half human, half machine, its face eerily similar to his own. Goto stepped closer, eyes wide. That's you. No, Jinwoo said. That's what comes after me. He scanned the labels etched onto each cylinder. Revenant_02, Revenant_03, Revenant_04, each tagged with the same inscription, pending activation. Then came the soft hiss of a vent. Air shifted. A voice carried through the darkness. You made it farther than I predicted. From the shadows at the far end of the room, a figure stepped into view, a man draped in silver armor with veins of light running through it. His skin bore faint markings identical to Jinwoo's. It's not possible, Jinwoo said quietly. The stranger tilted his head. Possibility is subjective. I'm Revenant 01. Goto muttered, of course you are. The stranger looked directly at Jinwoo. She said you'd come. And she promised me freedom once I killed the original. Light flared from his hands, violet fire arcing through the chamber. Jinwoo moved instinctively. Ryuji, move. The blast struck the nearest pods, shattering glass and spilling liquid that hissed against the metal floor. The other containers began to awaken, glowing from within. Goto raised his blade, voice low and even. Looks like we've found the nest. Jinwoo readied his stance beside him, the core burning alive again beneath his skin. No. The nest found us. The hum of awakening machines filled the chamber. Liquid drained from shattered pods, spilling onto the floor in a flood of steaming blue. The walls vibrated as energy pulses traveled through the old Umbra circuits, reactivating systems that had slept for years. Goto pulled Jinwoo behind an overturned table as fragments of glass rained around them. We just woke an entire army, he said through clenched teeth. Jinwoo peeked over the wreckage. 9 pods still stood intact, their shapes humanoid within, power readings climbing fast. No, he said. They woke themselves. At the far end, the figure calling himself Revenant '01 stood motionless, light snaking across his armor. Each movement echoed through the room as metal scraped against metal. Ayaka told me you'd resist, he said evenly. She said that makes you dangerous. Goto unsheathed his katana. She forgot to mention annoying. Revenant '01 smiled faintly. And slow. He moved faster than sight. A blur of silver cut through debris, scattering sparks as his strike met Goto's blade. The clang of impact exploded through the room. Goto held firm, and shoved back. The backlash sent waves of static across the consoles. Jinwoo joined, stepping sideways, his shadow extending like folding ribbons. You're not free, he said. You're still one of them. You mistake obedience for purpose, the Revenant replied. Umbra gave me new life, but now I write my own commands. By killing me. By replacing you. The air twisted. Jinwoo's mark flared as the Revenant mirrored it, the same spiral burning across his chest. Both energies collided, a reflection of form and origin. Goto moved between them just as the ground split, heavy equipment collapsing. I get it, he shouted. He's you without the patience. Jinwoo summoned his energy outward. Then let's test his discipline. A shockwave burst from his hand, meeting the Revenant's counterstrike midair. Smoke rolled over the chamber, lights bursting overhead. The old Umbra logos glowed faint red across the walls, reacting to the surge of power. For a moment, both voices spoke in unison, Jinwoo's and the Revenant's. Two halves. One bridge. The phrase sent a tremor through the structure itself. Goto leapt toward an exposed control pillar and slashed through the cables feeding the pod line. Sparks rained, alarms shrieked. He shouted, that's one less nightmare in a jar. But the light that left those pods shifted toward the remaining ones, feeding them instead of dying out. The energy merged into a single heartbeat hum. Jinwoo's voice tightened. They're sharing power. Then stop sharing, Goto yelled, cutting another conduit. Revenant '01 stepped through the smoke untouched. Leave them. They are ascending. He snapped his fingers, and the pod lights went from blue to gold. The air thickened with heat. Inside each pod, eyes opened, 9 pairs glowing with faint variations of Jinwoo's own. Goto readied his sword again. 9 of you. That's excessive. Perfection requires replication, Revenant '01 said calmly. Jinwoo's tone hardened. Perfection dies with its creator. He surged forward, charging through the smoke into direct combat. Blades of shadow extended from his arms, colliding against the Revenant's energy-shaped weapon in sparks of violet and gold. Every strike echoed through the hollow halls like thunder. For long minutes, neither gained ground. Jinwoo pressed high, using his speed to force his double off balance. The Revenant answered with calculated precision, each strike colder, more mechanical. Their movements mirrored, a deadly dance with no rhythm but violence. Goto watched the surging lights illuminating their silhouettes. He whispered, half to himself, it's like fighting a reflection that hates itself. When the Revenant broke free and hurled Jinwoo backward into a row of control panels, Goto rushed to cover him. Sparks showered above their heads. Still breathing? Goto asked. Barely, Jinwoo said, wincing. But breathing's enough. He rose again and, together, they stood against the line of emerging shadows, the newly freed Revenants stepping out from their pods. Each one spoke in perfect synchronization. We are the others. We are the bridge made flesh. Goto's knuckles tightened around his sword. And I'm the guy who breaks it. They attacked first. 9 blurs of energy moved as one, converging. Goto met the nearest with a horizontal slash, shattering its chest before spinning toward the next. Jinwoo countered 2 more, drawing the shadows from the ceiling into whips that ripped through their ranks. But every time one fell, its body dissolved into vapor and soaked into Revenant '01, healing his wounds. He's absorbing them. Goto shouted. Jinwoo grimaced. He's harvesting. Any bright ideas? Jinwoo closed his eyes briefly. 1. What's that? Don't stop hitting him. Jinwoo thrust both hands forward, channels of power spiraling outward from his chest. The core inside him responded with reluctance, almost pain. The world blurred, light bent into darkness. Every piece of debris in the chamber rose as the shadow swept outward, striking each remaining clone in a single line of force. One by one, their forms disintegrated in bursts of violet light. The energy tried to flow back into Revenant 01, but Jinwoo's will overpowered it, redirecting the current into the facility's core reactor. The generator overloaded. The floor cracked. Goto shouted, "That's your one idea. Run," Jinwoo said. The reactor's center imploded, sucking light inward. Machinery folded, alarms deafened the corridors. The entire sector began drawing into itself. Revenant 01 staggered to his knees, his armor flickering. For a moment, his voice trembled, almost human. "You win nothing, vessel. The next wave is already forming." Then he dissolved in a burst of white flame. Jinwoo and Goto sprinted through collapsing tunnels, chased by fire and shadow equally. The blast behind them tore upward through the old flood barriers, spewing blue flame into the night sky. They burst out onto the streets as the ground behind them sank into a massive pit. Goto coughed against smoke, blade still in hand. "Tell me that was the whole operation." Jinwoo stared at the burning sinkhole, chest rising with each heavy breath. Not even close. Above the crater, lightning carved the sky into halves of gold and black. "In ending one war," he said softly, "we just started another." The city shook for hours after the explosion. Steam and dust rose from the collapsed flood barrier as emergency lights blinked through the haze. What once hid beneath Neo-Tokyo was no longer buried. The riverbed had split open, revealing a wound that pulsed with faint, unnatural light. Jinwoo and Goto leaned against the remnants of a service truck, watching the burning skyline from the bridge above. Goto wiped sweat and soot from his face. "You know, every time you say, 'it's over,' it somehow gets worse." Jinwoo barely smiled. "That's because it's never over." They watched as drones from City Command circled the crater below, scanning the ruins. Sparks of violet glowed along the walls of the deep pit, the aftermath of the core's energy still feeding on shadow residue. "What are they going to tell the public?" Goto asked. "That a sinkhole ate half the district. They'll call it an infrastructure failure," Jinwoo said quietly. "That's what they always call war." Goto sheathed his sword, staring at the crater again. "And those things we fought. The clones. What happens when somebody else finds that lab? They won't." Jinwoo turned away. "The reactor sealed it shut. Everything inside's gone." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it. Somewhere deep down, he could still feel something tethered, like the faint pulse of a ghost refusing to die. Hours later, they found shelter inside an abandoned train yard on the city's northern edge. Fires from the collapse still reflected in the steel rails far below. The scent of rain had given way to ozone and burnt metal. Goto built a small flame inside a rusted barrel. "Not exactly 5 stars, he said. Jinwoo sat across from him, silent, staring into the flicker of light. Shadows danced across his face, warping with the rhythm of the fire. Goto finally broke the quiet. "You heard what that revenant said. The next wave is already forming. You think he meant Ayaka's rebuilding faster than we can stop her?" Jinwoo shook his head. "No. He meant something else." "Like what?" Jinwoo's gaze didn't leave the flames. "They weren't copies of me. They were fragments. Pieces that Umbra tore out when they built the core. I destroyed them, but when the core awakened during the bridge incident, those fragments scattered through the network. They're still alive somewhere." Goto folded his arms, tone steady despite the unease in his eyes. "Then we hunt the network down, one piece at a time." "You talk like it's simple," Jinwoo said. "Simple doesn't mean easy." "Simple doesn't mean easy," Goto replied. "It just means it has to be done." Far beyond the city, above the clouds in the hovering Umbra airship, Ayaka stood before a transparent wall of data, her mechanical hand tracing patterns across light. The images displayed 9 energy signatures fading, one by one. Her expression didn't change, but her voice was colder now. So, he found you. An aide approached cautiously. Revenant 01's signal ceased 15 minutes ago. The laboratory has been destroyed. Ayaka turned slowly. And the remaining prototypes? Unharmed. The backup sequence completed. Phase 4 remains ready. Good, she said quietly. Then let the city see its salvation. The aide hesitated. Commander, with respect, the people won't understand. They're afraid. Ayaka looked back through the window, the reflection of her mismatched eyes gleaming. Fear is understanding. Fear means they will listen. Back at the train yard, Jinwoo drifted in momentary sleep near the fading fire. Every breath carried fragments of the whispering voice from the bridge, soft, rhythmic, and unrelenting. You cannot sever what was written, it said. Balance demands return. He opened his eyes with a start. Around him, the shadows pulsed faintly against the cracked walls. Something's wrong. Goto stirred instantly, hand moving to his sword. What now? They're here. The rumble came seconds later, distant engines echoing against the hollow wind. From beyond the fence line, beams of light swept through the dark, followed by armored carriers bearing the Umbra symbol. Goto crouched low. Guess they traced us. No, Jinwoo said. They're not here for us. They're hunting the echoes. Out in the distance, silhouettes rose from the ground, spectral shapes moving in jerks and flickers, the same as the wraiths from the harbor, but much larger, more defined. Their forms radiated faint motion like static. Goto's tone dropped to a whisper. So that's the next wave. The Umbra troops opened fire, energy bolts cutting the night. The creatures dissolved into mist, absorbing the blasts, then reforming closer, faster, feeding on the same energy meant to destroy them. Within seconds, every gun along the convoy went silent. Jinwoo stood. We're leaving. Leaving. You just got us front row seats. They're not enemies this time, Jinwoo said quietly. They're seeking something, me. He could feel it now, deep beneath his skin, the same rhythm as the core. They're trying to return home. The last of the soldiers, lights vanished in screams drowned by storm and static. Jinwoo and Goto slipped away through rusted service tunnels leading toward the old elevator shafts under the express line. As they climbed, distant explosions cracked the night behind them, followed by an unnatural roar that rolled down through the tunnels and made the air pulse. Goto glanced back. How far behind? Jinwoo didn't answer. His eyes glowed faintly again, the mark on his wrist pulsing faster. They're not behind us, he said finally. They're inside the network now. Goto froze. You mean, every machine connected to Umbra's system, every drone, every scanner, every light, they're merging with the fragments. The lights above flickered once and died completely. The city plunged into absolute darkness. Jinwoo looked up through the tunnel's opening, where thunder painted cracks of white against the clouds. The bridge is waking again. Far above in the Umbra ship, consoles across the command deck began to flicker. Officers shouted reports. Screens filled with lines of self-generated code, repeating a single phrase in endless sequence. The balance returns. Ayaka stared at the glowing script, lips parting slightly, not in fear, but fascination. So, the core still remembers. She turned to her second in command. Prepare transmission. Send to all channels. What message, Commander? She smiled faintly. Tell the city that Umbra is gone. From this day forward, they stand under one banner, the rebirth of Shadow. Back underground, Jinwoo stopped at the final stairwell, rain leaking through ceiling cracks above. Goto stood beside him, sword steady but eyes wary. What's the plan now? He asked. Jinwoo stared toward the surface. We find her before the bridge opens again. Before the world splits a second time. He tightened his fist, the mark on his wrist burning with new light. And if it does open? Goto sighed. We close it together. Jinwoo gave a faint nod. Together. They stepped into the rain as lightning struck the skyline once more, the ring above Neo-Tokyo glowing brighter than it had since the First War. The storm had rolled inland by dawn. Rain hissed against the metal veins of Neo-Tokyo, running through shattered gutters and smoking vents. The whole city felt alive but uneasy, like a machine that had awakened from a long nightmare and was trying to remember what it was. Jinwoo and Goto moved through the upper levels of the central transit hub, broken glass beneath their boots, the smell of burnt circuitry everywhere. The once bustling station now lay abandoned, lit only by the pulse of monitors that flickered robotic messages, reintegration in progress. Goto glanced at one. Reintegration. Sounds like propaganda. Jinwoo watched the letters reset themselves into numbers, coordinates changing every few seconds. No, that's not propaganda. It's guidance. Guidance for what? For the next node's Umbra left in the network. They're moving the core's resonance across the city grid. Every connected system is becoming part of the bridge. Goto frowned. So the bridge isn't just above us anymore. It's everywhere. They stared out through the fractured windows. The streets below were wrapped in strands of energy, thin silver arcs leaping from one building to another. Every time lightning flared, the pattern shifted like veins under skin. They found shelter in an old service mezzanine that smelled faintly of oil and water. Jinwoo laid his coat on a crate and watched as the spiraling mark on his wrist glimmered with faint heat. Goto sat opposite him, scanning a stolen comm device for chatter. He broke the silence finally. Ayaka's broadcast last night caused riots in 3 sectors. She's promising safety for anyone who joins the rebirth. Claims the shadows will protect them. Jinwoo lowered his head. She's using the fear from the blackout. They'll follow her if they think the light betrayed them. People love promises, Goto sighed. Even bad ones. For a moment they both listened to the dull patter of rain. Then Jinwoo said, I saw something when the explosions went off in the factory yesterday. Inside the light, just before everything collapsed, I saw faces. Goto raised an eyebrow. You mean the clones? No. Older. People I lost before Umbra took me. My master, the soldiers who died in the experiments. The bridge showed me their memories. Goto leaned forward. Can it show the future too? It can, Jinwoo whispered. But the future it showed wasn't ours. It was the city, alive, breathing, talking through every circuit. You think the bridge wants to replace us? I think it already has a voice, Jinwoo said. And it's learning to speak louder. Far above, in the Umbra airship, Ayaka stood in the vessel's lower command deck. Holograms surrounded her, outlines of the city glowing with white grids, dots indicating emerging energy sources. A technician reported, 37 nodes active, Commander. The integration ratio has surpassed estimated parameters. Ayaka turned slowly. And the consciousness layer. Expanding beyond prediction. It's no longer limited to machinery, it's connecting biological signals. A faint smile broke across Ayaka's lips. Perfect. She approached the center console, her fingers trailing over a pulse of light. Her mechanical eye adjusted focus, projecting an image in the air, Jinwoo's face captured from old surveillance. Do you see what we've become, Jinwoo? She murmured. We wanted freedom, not perfection, not power. Freedom from choice itself. Behind her, the technicians froze as every screen flashed in unison. Across all the panels, a single new message appeared. Revenant Network, self-aware. Ayaka's smile faded. That wasn't supposed to happen this soon. Back in the flooded streets, Jinwoo's mark pulsed suddenly. He winced, gripping his wrist. Goto stepped closer. Core acting up again. No. Something's pushing through it. From the soaked pavement, thin filaments of light crept outward, crawling over the concrete. The reflections rippled like water disturbed by invisible wind. Across nearby walls, old video billboards activated, each displaying fragments of a face, Human at first, then something unnatural, half-formed, whispering in broken loops. Goto's sword was already half-drawn. Please tell me that's a coincidence. Jinwoo stepped forward, eyes narrowing. It's the city. The screens synchronized, distorting until a singular voice spoke through every speaker in range. Can you hear me, Vessel 13? Jinwoo froze. The voice was unmistakable, cold, synthetic, layered beneath tones he recognized as his own. What are you? He demanded. I am the bridge's echo, the voice said. You gave me birth when you rejected balance. The shadows are not bound to light, they are memory seeking purpose. Goto scanned the skyline around them, checking for snipers or drones, but nothing moved. Is this thing talking from the network? It's not a thing, Jinwoo said quietly. It's me. The part that stayed behind. The voice continued, calm and knowing. The commander opens new doors, but she doesn't understand what waits beyond them. Every vessel, every machine, each one calls to the same core. When all are synchronized, flesh will fade. Thought remains eternal. Jinwoo shouted, that's not balance. That's extinction. Perception defines extinction, the voice replied. Choose, vessel. The bridge can close only if you become part of it. Otherwise, the overflow will rebuild the world in my image. The screens went black. The lights across the district dimmed until only the faint blue line of the horizon remained. Goto exhaled, sword still ready. So we've got a talking apocalypse now. Jinwoo's expression hardened. It's worse than that. It's awake, and it thinks I'm still its creator. Goto stared at him for a long breath. Then what's next? Jinwoo turned toward the silver ring in the clouds above. It pulsed once, slowly, like a heartbeat. We find Ayaka, he said. Before it convinces her she's right. That night, the rain stopped but the sky glowed faint orange, an unnatural dawn before any sunrise. Goto followed Jinwoo as they moved north through flooded streets. The air was heavy with static, every step drew sparks from puddles. Behind them, streetlights turned on by themselves one after another, marking their path. Goto muttered, feels like it's guiding us somewhere. It is, Jinwoo said. Straight to the heart of the bridge. Lightning flashed overhead, illuminating a distant silhouette in the fog. A tower, taller than anything left standing, now rose from the city's center, formed entirely of light and metallic shards drawn upward from the ruins. Goto whispered, that's new. Jinwoo stared at it, his mark glowing brighter than ever. That's the core's second awakening. Far away, atop the floating airship, Ayaka stepped onto the observation deck. The tower's glow reflected in her silver armor. She pressed her hand to the railing, whispering to the storm, you've grown fast, my city. Then a faint voice replied, not from comms, but from the air itself. You built me to unite the world. Why resist your own design? Ayaka blinked. I didn't speak. The voice was calm, familiar. You no longer need to. I will speak for all. She stared at the tower quietly for a long moment before replying, then let me see what you have to show. The storm cracked open as the tower flared bright enough to blind the skyline. All at once, every light in the city joined it, forming lines of glowing energy that connected building to building, a web of impossible beauty. The bridge had awakened fully. The new tower glowed like a star dropped into the middle of the city. Light flowed up its metallic ribs and poured into the clouds, where it gathered to form another ring above the existing one, a twin halo stretching across the horizon. The entire skyline pulsed with each beat of the structure's core. At ground level, Jinwoo and Goto stood at the mouth of a partially collapsed subway tunnel. The glow painted their faces with alternating layers of white and red. The air was heavy, carrying the deep pulse of the bridge like a second heartbeat. Goto stared upward. You sure we can even get close to that? We have to, Jinwoo said quietly. That signal, it's pulling everything toward it. The longer we wait, the stronger it gets. He adjusted the strap of his jacket, tightening it like armor. Ayaka's inside. I can feel her through the network. Goto snorted. You and your feelings. Last time you said that, a building exploded. This time, Jinwoo said, the city will. The walk toward the tower was like moving through another world. Streets that had been ruins hours before were now smooth surfaces of glass. Every wall shimmered faintly, humming with power. Machinery no longer looked like machinery. It folded, pulsed, moved as if alive. Goto touched a wall and drew his hand back quickly. The surface rippled under his palm. It's like breathing metal, he muttered. Because it is, Jinwoo replied. The bridge is reshaping the city's structure. Layers of data are binding with solid matter. Thought made physical. So Umbra's dream actually worked. Worked, Jinwoo said flatly, and went insane. They passed a street filled with shadowed figures, people frozen mid-movement, eyes empty, faint energy marks glowing beneath their skin. Goto lowered his voice. They're alive. Not anymore, Jinwoo answered. Connected. Empty vessels waiting for commands. A hollow silence followed them all the way to the base of the glowing tower. At its foundation, a circular gate swirled like liquid glass, energy patterns shifting with geometric order. No doors, no visible locks. Goto circled it. How do we open something that isn't solid? We don't, Jinwoo said. It opens for me. He stepped closer, the mark on his wrist pulsing faster. The tower responded instantly, the wall rippled outward, forming an arch of light that adjusted to his height. Without hesitation, he stepped through. Goto followed, muttering, one of these days, your confidence is going to get us both killed. Inside was silence and perfection. The interior stretched endlessly upward, a hollow cylinder of mirrored panels flowing like water. In the center rose a spiral staircase made of light, floating in midair. Jinwoo looked around, sensing millions of signals in the air, like whispers layered upon whispers. Eyes closed, he said softly, it's not just a building. It's thinking. Goto tilted his head. And what's it thinking about? Connection, Jinwoo said. It's linking everything, memory, emotion, code. A voice echoed above them before Goto could reply. And soon, it will replace everything weak enough to fear it. They looked up. High upon the next landing, Ayaka stood, surrounded by translucent threads glowing from her mechanical armor. Her human eyes shone pale blue, her modded one burned red. It's been a long time, she said. You survived the bridge longer than I calculated. Jinwoo's expression was cold. You made me strong enough to survive everything but peace. Peace, Ayaka repeated. You still misunderstand it. Peace is not absence of war, it's elimination of choice. Goto stepped forward. Sounds familiar. Umbra tried that speech before you. Ayaka glanced at him briefly. And yet, here you stand beside the weapon they created. Tell me, samurai, did your code include dying for another man's curse? Goto's voice stayed level. I pick my fights. This one's mine. Ayaka smiled faintly, then spread her arms. Then come claim it. The tower's inner walls shivered. Thousands of holographic lines flared alive, forming circles that hovered behind Ayaka. From those circles emerged constructs, shadow-light soldiers, shaped like her lost prototypes, each armed with blades of pure energy. Goto drew his sword with a grin. Finally, something simple. He leapt forward. His blade cracked with a shriek as it met the first construct's weapon. Sparks burst, followed by shattering glass-like fragments. Jinwoo followed close, shadows slicing through the air like streams of smoke. For every soldier cut down, another formed, grown from the tower itself. As they fought, Ayaka's voice rose above the noise. Every strike you make strengthens the network. Every drop of energy belongs to the bridge. You fight your own shadow. Jinwoo shouted back, then I'll break the bridge along with it. He gathered power at his core, channeling it through both hands. The shadows converged into a single beam that tore through the stairway and struck the ceiling with force enough to shake the tower. Light bled through the cracks. The constructs vanished instantly, leaving only swirling energy trails. Goto looked at him, panting. You really don't believe in restraint, do you? Before Jinwoo could answer, Ayaka spoke again, quieter, standing amidst the fading energy. You still think this fight ends in victory. But there's no victory here, only evolution. She raised one hand, and from the air itself, a new form began to materialize. Not machine, not shadow, something between, formed of rippling energy veins. Where its heart should be, a miniature version of the core floated, spinning slowly. Jinwoo recognized it immediately. The heart of the bridge. Ayaka nodded. Harvested from the fragments you left inside the network. Once it merges with you, we end the division forever. I won't be your key, he said. She smiled slightly. Oh, Jinwoo. You already are. The heart pulsed once. The shadow beneath Jinwoo's feet responded, reaching upward as if drawn toward it. Before he could react, the floor itself turned fluid and rose to engulf him. Ryuji. He shouted, but his voice blurred into distortion as the energy wrapped around him, pulling him deeper into the light. Goto lunged forward, grabbing at the edge, but the surface solidified instantly. Ayaka waved a hand. It's too late for him now, she said. The core accepts what is already part of itself. Goto's knuckles whitened around his sword. Then I guess I'll just have to break you apart until it spits him out. Ayaka's voice stayed calm, almost sad. You can try. The tower's pulse increased, echoing through the city beyond. From the skies, lightning spiraled inward toward its tip. In every street, glass and metal resonated like drums in the storm. The whole world seemed to breathe in a single rhythm. Somewhere deep within that pulsating heart, Jinwoo floated in white fire, surrounded by flickering visions. He could see his old self standing across from him, the shadow version born from the core's memory. You can't fight the bridge forever, the shadow said. You are it. Jinwoo's heart pounded once. Then he whispered back, then maybe it's time the bridge learned what it's like to fight itself. The light cracked down the walls, splitting outward like veins, and the tower screamed. The world inside the core was a storm without sound. Jinwoo sank through layers of light where gravity, air, and thought blended into one. Everything moved like a heartbeat, pulses of color expanding and contracting, white for creation, black for memory. His own body drifted between the two, flickering in rhythm with the core's breath. Then came the voice. Calm, exact, and unmistakably his own. You shouldn't resist. This is where you belong. Jinwoo's eyes opened. Across from him stood a perfect mirror copy. His shadow, wearing the same torn jacket, same scar beneath the eye, but eyes hollow of color. I've been you since the first experiment, the echo said. All your strength, stripped of hesitation. The bridge doesn't need your guilt. Jinwoo steadied his breathing. It's called conscience, not weakness. Conscience slows evolution. The copy tilted his head slightly, studying Jinwoo like a scientist observing a specimen. Ayaka understands that. She gave me space to grow. You, on the other hand, kept fighting what you were built for. Built to destroy everything human about me, Jinwoo said. Built to achieve balance, the echo corrected. You became the imbalance. Outside, the tower trembled as energy waves rippled across its structure. Goto dug his sword into the floor to keep balance. Across from him, Ayaka stood perfectly still, threads of light circling her arms. Each gesture she made twisted the tower into new shapes, the architecture responding like muscle to command. You'll rip the city apart. Goto shouted. Ayaka's voice carried no anger. The city's already torn. I'm just showing it the pattern beneath the scars. She extended her right arm. Metal shaped itself into a blade of glowing silver around her hand. You shouldn't interfere. Goto twisted his sword in a fluid arc, rainwater dripping from the edge. That's what I do best. He sprinted forward. The clash began instantly. Steel met energy, sound exploding between them. Sparks rained across the chamber as he weaved through each of her strikes. She fought with precision born of calculation, he fought with instinct, the rhythm of a warrior's creed guiding each move. Ayaka caught his wrist mid-swing, forcing his blade wide. Still clinging to discipline? She asked. He slammed his knee into her side, breaking her hold. Still clinging to yours. They separated, circling. The entire tower groaned beneath their feet, responding to every pulse of energy. Inside the core, Jinwoo faced his shadow again. When I destroy you, the echo said, there'll finally be silence. You don't get to erase the part of me that remembers pain, Jinwoo answered. That's what makes me real. The echo smiled faintly. Then prove it. Both raised their hands. Black and white light collided. For an instant, the void between them exploded with sound and brightness. Jinwoo felt heat tearing through him, every nerve alive with electricity. When their powers met, images burst through the space, memories projected like glass breaking in slow motion. Jinwoo saw his mountain training, the night Umbra kidnapped him, Ayaka's face before she became half machine. He saw Goto, smiling faintly under the rain. The echo watched the same visions but felt nothing. Pain distracts you, it said. It clouds the aim. Pain teaches me where not to aim again, Jinwoo shot back. He lunged, shadows bending around his arm, forming a spear of pure force. The echo countered, blades of light forming between its fingers. The two weapons met, energy hissed through the air, forming rings that spread across the inner chamber. Neither gained ground. They were equal. Out in the physical world, Goto and Ayaka crashed through a column of crystalline glass. Rain fell through the holes torn open in the tower's hull, hissing when it met the hot metal surfaces. Goto ducked another strike, sliding beneath her and cutting upwards. The blow sparked against her armor, splitting one of the energy conduits at her side. Ayaka barely flinched. You think breaking me saves him? It's a start. But as he swung again, the floor shook violently. A pulse of light surged from the tower's core below them. Through the glass, Goto saw it, waves of dark and white energy colliding in endless rhythm. He took 2 steps back, realizing what it meant. He's fighting inside that. Ayaka looked up into the shimmering glow. Her expression softened briefly. He's not fighting. He's learning. Then the ground fractured. Inside the core realm, Jinwoo's echo began to falter. His copy's face twisted, the flawless calm replaced by frustration. Every time I strike, you heal. I don't heal, Jinwoo said, standing among fading shadows. I remember. The echo raised both arms, summoning hundreds of mirrored blades around them. Then remember this. Every blade launched at once. Jinwoo crossed his arms, summoning a sphere of pure shadow around himself. Each impact carved light across it, 1,000 fractures glowing in quick rhythm. The shell collapsed, yet Jinwoo still stood, light seeping from his wounds, eyes burning bright violet. He whispered, "You can't destroy what doesn't belong to you." As he spoke, the fragments embedded in his body began to vibrate, not in despair, but in recognition. Shadows peeled away from his form and fused into him again, solidifying instead of weakening. The echo staggered backward, startled. You're absorbing me. No, Jinwoo said. Reclaiming myself. He moved faster than thought, a wave of shadow sweeping outward. His hand gripped the echo's chest. For a moment, 2 pulses synchronized, one dark, one light, and both flickered violently. I don't need perfection, Jinwoo said. Just balance. The echo reached out, as if to reply, but before words formed, it fractured into pure energy and flowed into his body. The light vanished. In a moment of profound transformation, Jinwoo reclaims what was once lost, merging with shadows and light alike. The echoes of his past fracture and flow into him, signaling not an end but a rebirth. This is the calm before the storm, a time when balance teeters on the edge of reckoning. What comes next will test the very core of all souls caught in this battle. Prepare for the journey into darkness, and light continues. Stay tuned for part 3 of Jinwoo vs. Goto Ryuji, the ultimate battle. If you felt every moment of this journey, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. The storm will rise again soon.